Thanks very much for coming to this Shape Your Business webinar on getting your marketing message right. Now, business owners who develop or market a new product often have a justifiable pride in what they're selling. If they're selling a new piece of technology, they can probably go into great detail about all of the features of that particular technology. However, you don't necessarily want that kind of detail when you're marketing. Your customers are generally only interested in product features that translate into benefits. For example, speaking about technology, if you were looking to sell a digital pocket organizer, you won't tell the clients about the technological advances that went into its development. Instead, you'll point out that it's light, it's portable, fits readily into the pocket or briefcase, and can save a lot of time. Basically, things sell when they meet a need. So in marketing terms, it really helps to analyze customer needs. We can get some help in this area from the industrial psychologist Abraham Maslow, who defined a hierarchy of needs. He suggested that there were 5 levels of needs, ranging from the most basic, which have to do with survival, to higher needs, which have to do with personal fulfillment. I really want to talk about this model for a while, and would suggest that when you next watch commercials on TV that have been produced by the large advertising companies, take some time, call it your homework if you like, to consider how many of them are using that model to get their message across to their key audience. Maslow's view was that we all have to satisfy one level before we can move to the next higher level. Level 1 needs are physiological. They relate to having enough food to survive, having adequate shelter to keep out the elements, clothing to protect against heat and cold, and enough time to sleep. Now, without those things, we'll not really be worrying about our next holiday or the fact that we're lacking recognition. Our first need is to eat. And until that need is satisfied, that's what our brain will focus on. The second level is all about involving safety and security. They relate to having a stable social structure where there are laws, where you can insure against disaster, and where you can feel safe in your own home. The third level is social. They relate to the need to feel loved, to be part of a community, to have a place among family and friends. And the fourth level is all about involving status. Now, those needs relate to the need for recognition and respect, the opportunity to be appreciated for your achievements. The fifth level deals with what we call self-actualization. Now, people meet needs on this level when they achieve their personal goals and ambitions and fulfill their potential. They're usually the ones that then dedicate themselves to others in the community, to continue giving themselves a purpose. Bill Gates is one example of that. However, it's nothing to do with material wealth. I feel another example would have been Mother Teresa. It's quite possible to go up and down that pyramid. Consider the impact of losing a job or a major change in your circumstance. I'd suggest that the likes of Britney Spears has actually traversed levels 2 through to 4 a number of times. Now, if you're selling to businesses, then their key decision makers also have professional needs that sit very nicely within this model. There's a business equivalent to each one of them. At the bottom level is the concern that the key decision maker won't make it. The hole is getting bigger. The second level, concern about the economy, competition, perhaps that competition is even from within, in the form of a younger, smarter candidate even. And your solution may well provide them with the kudos to satisfy that need in order to keep their job. So the model can take on a number of different tangents, but I'm yet to find a situation where Maslow's model just didn't fit. In saying that, Maslow's theory is simply that. It's simply a theory. It's not a scientifically demonstrable fact. But it does offer some useful rules of thumb when it comes to marketing. When you sell a client a benefit, you're pitching to at least one of Maslow's levels, and your marketing needs to be appropriate to that level. For example, if you're making or selling trekking or rock climbing gear, you'll need to pitch your marketing message at levels 1 and 2. That is, the primary purpose of the climbing gear is to keep the climbers alive. Ropes shouldn't break under strain. If you're selling tents or sleeping bags for trekkers, they need to be able to protect against hypothermia. These survival benefits need to be explicitly or implicitly stated in your marketing message, whether that's through advertising or even product packaging. The message must be communicated in the right tone. If you're selling tough, durable, dependable goods, you'll want the advertising and the packaging to have a no-nonsense look and feel about it. That's not to say that you can't gain an advantage over your competitors by satisfying higher level needs. Your trekking gear might have design qualities that make it particularly satisfying to look at or particularly comfortable to wear, for example. And highly functional features sometimes become fashion features. For example, you might want wraparound sunglasses if you're trekking in the mountains or spending a day on the yacht, because you want to keep out all the UV that you can. But those glasses might also become a fashion statement, giving you a sporty look as you're having an outdoor drink at your ski lodge or at the yacht club. Advertising for the sunglasses might want to reflect the fact that they're both functional and fashionable. On the other hand, if you were selling shock absorbers as spare parts to mechanics, any attempt to market on anything beside their functionality would be pretty silly. At the top end of the needs scale, you might be selling luxury or lifestyle goods that make little or no contribution to basic needs. If you're selling perfume, beauty products, or fashionable clothing, you'll make your pitch almost exclusively to image. The look and feel of your ads will have a whole range of connotations to do with comfort, status, and perhaps sensuality or sexuality. The benefits you sell will be related to lifestyle, and your advertising will probably imply that customers will feel or look better if they buy your product. Your product may function as a kind of social marker, for example. Some clothes define wearers as belonging to a certain age group or socio-economic bracket. The first step in emphasizing the benefits you offer is to identify the product features that will provide the benefit. Think about the form of the product, its size, its shape, the texture, consistency, and even the color. For some products, taste or smell could also be relevant. Then think about how these features translate into benefits. If a product is small, is that a good thing? It could make it portable, like a pack of peppermints that you can carry around in your pocket. Is the color right? Would you want a hot, emotional color if you were packaging a pocket calculator for the scientific community? Probably not, although it really does depend on your target market. If you are aiming at the teenage market, for example, a completely different approach would be most appropriate. How about the texture? Say you're selling furniture and you think your sleek leather lounges look classy. But if you're living in a humid tropical climate, you might find that there's a limited market for fabrics that, well, can be sticky. You also want to think of practical features. Suppose you're making office chairs. How do your chairs rate in terms of adjustability, support, tilting, and general ergonomics? Quality is a feature that can easily be turned into a benefit. Quality speaks for itself, so that even with limited marketing, quality can generate good word of mouth. But beware of claiming that you have a high quality product unless you're sure that that's true. People hate to be disappointed, and negative word of mouth travels very fast. Simplicity is another product feature that easily translates into a benefit. For example, you can market simple technology as easy to use. If you're selling power tools, you may want to highlight durability and reliability. Think of the way that Energizer batteries have converted long life into a selling point. That's a definite benefit in terms of convenience, as it's irritating to put down an appliance and start hunting around for batteries. Safety is another important feature. For example, children's toys might need to fit into age-related safety guidelines. However, safety is a feature that's difficult to convert into a competitive advantage. All your competitors should be providing safe goods as a minimum requirement. Then there are a whole lot of design features. Some do with function and some do with style. You can differentiate a product almost purely on style. Take the case of vodka, for example. It's very difficult to distinguish between different vodkas in taste terms, but Absolut makes itself stand out through the shape of its bottle, a shape that people will pay a premium price to have sitting on their shelves. Services also have features. If you're a service business that communicates well with customers, you're providing a definite benefit there. For example, if you do business electronically and clients can order and track delivery online, that can provide them with a major cost saving. You can also provide service benefits through delivery or installation. If you're selling Venetian blinds, for example, you might want to provide free or discounted installation with each purchase rather than discount the product itself to make the sale. See, that's something an online provider would have difficulty in matching, and that may be of real value to your customer. The speed of your service can also be important. If you're hiring out televisions or computers, prompt 7-day service could be a significant benefit to customers. Speed is also a good service feature if you're providing home delivery for things like pizzas. The quality of your team members is also a key benefit. You may notice how hotels and even car hire companies like to highlight how friendly and courteous their team members are. Service with a smile may give you an edge if your competitors are below par in that department. If you're in professional services, then the fact that your people are highly qualified and communicate well will obviously translate into a very real and genuine customer benefit. Other features translate into benefits in a less obvious way. If you're selling white goods, the customer will not be directly interested in the quality of your supply or distribution system, but they will be impressed if they can walk into your store, buy a product, and have it delivered immediately. You not only have to identify these service benefits, you need to communicate them through your marketing materials. For example, you'll need to think how you can express those benefits through the design qualities of your marketing materials. If you're a courier and you compete on speed, then your logo can communicate that. The look of your marketing materials, the colors you use, the grade of paper you print on, the type of artwork you hire, all these things carry an implicit message about the kind of service you offer and whether you're in a tough, no-nonsense business or you're providing creature comforts. But before you start designing marketing materials, there are some important steps to take. Firstly, while you can make some good guesses about how your product or service features translate into benefits, it's not the same thing as knowing. The customer is the person who really decides whether your product features translate into benefits. It's also the customer who's in a position to rate the relative importance of the benefits that you provide. And your customers are the people who finally decide whether your marketing materials work. So before you invest money in marketing that emphasizes particular product benefits, please do some market research to make sure that these benefits mean something from the customer's point of view. You can do some market research in a couple of ways, either qualitative or quantitative research. So what's the difference there? Qualitative research is less structured than quantitative research. Can involve, for example, focus groups or customer advisory boards where you get consumers together to talk about how they see your product or service. This sort of session doesn't provide you with hard numbers or statistics, but it can be a way of getting a feel for the way that customers see your business. You may get unexpected and some thought-provoking outcomes from qualitative analysis because you don't ask questions with simple yes or no answers. You'll often get a moderator or a third party to run that type of discussion because your customers will quite often share things with someone who's independent rather than someone who really does have a personal stake in the business itself. They'll want to safeguard your feelings and will probably hold back on some really useful information. So make sure you use someone who is experienced, a professional, someone who's trained to provoke the discussion and who knows how to avoid prompting people to say what you want or what you hope or even expect them to say. The downside of qualitative research is that it's inconclusive. It doesn't provide hard statistical evidence on how the market actually sees your product. To get around that, you might want to include some quantitative research that uses more structured and formal techniques such as questionnaires that have set questions, and that allows answers to be tallied up and expressed statistically. A questionnaire could ask the respondent to identify the features they like in a product, rank those features in terms of desirability, rate your product against other brands, state which products they'll buy, and also rate your advertising against the advertising of your competitors. Now we can work with you to develop and implement a key performance indicator measurement system to help you to manage those quantitatives, so just give us a yell if you're interested in that. There are a variety of other informal techniques you can also use to gather the information. You might keep a suggestion box for customers and team members, or even use, as we do, electronic surveys such as the ones that we do use, which we find really help to gather useful feedback. Make sure you read those suggestions though, however you get the information, implement the good ones, and thank the people who actually took the time to provide the feedback, whether it be good or bad. Likewise, you can have team members record customer complaints. Go over the complaints periodically, look for patterns and address problems that seem to be systematic. Get a friend or business contact from out of your area to do some comparison shopping for you. You may have heard the term mystery shoppers. Ask them to assess how you stack up against your competitors. Keep a notebook where you record things that customers say they like or even dislike about your business. When you get the results of your market research, use it to formulate your unique core differentiator, or what we refer to as a UCD. Your unique core differentiator will be something that none of your competitors can equal. It distinguishes you from the other businesses in the marketplace, and as long as it remains truly unique, helps preserve an unchallenged place for you. Some people argue that you should only have one UCD. They suggest that if you choose 2 or 3, your credibility may suffer or your message may be diluted. Customers may be more likely to confuse you with other businesses, they say. However, other experts argue that if your business is leading the field in 2 or 3 aspects, then you should shout that from the rooftops. And clearly, your UCD will not be the only benefit you provide. You will need to at least match your competitors on a number of levels. Your UCD will simply be the strongest card you have to play. It will be the spearhead for your marketing effort. You might want to check out or refresh your memory by having a look at our webinar on creating your own unique core differentiator. Whichever view you take, you need to remember that your UCD is relative. That is, benefits are in the eye of the beholder. If you make a high quality product and your customers have very little disposable income, you may have chosen the wrong UCD. Or suppose you're selling clothing that's very popular with teenagers. Now, that won't be a great UCD if your outlets are in areas that are dominated by retirees. So when you formulate the benefit that you want to pitch to the market, you have to consider not only product features, but also the demographic that you're actually pitching to. Analyzing your demographic means breaking down your customers according to age or disposable income, perhaps marital status, education, lifestyle. It really depends on the product or service that you're actually providing. Now, your customers may not all fall into one demographic group. If you sell sporting goods, you might have a large customer segment that's made up of retired golf enthusiasts. But you may have another segment that's made up of teenage basketball players with limited disposable income. So you may have certain products directed at different segments. You may need to market your business somewhat differently to each of those distinct segments. You might put out a newsletter directed at golf players, for example, and another one for basketball enthusiasts. Very large businesses tend to focus on a narrow demographic, but smaller businesses can't always afford to do that. There may not be enough customers in a specific demographic in order to support them, if they're servicing only the local area in particular. So small businesses may be somewhat more generalized in their focus than large businesses, but you will never succeed if you are trying to market yourself as being all things to all people. The message just won't get through. When you decide which benefits to highlight in your marketing, you also need to consider your market positioning. Positioning is basically the place your business or your product occupies in the mind of your customers. Your position is also heavily influenced by the way your competitors position themselves. Your position reflects the market share that you have. If you're the market leader, you'll market to your strengths, and your competitors will generally be afraid to compete with you on those strengths. Only your strongest rivals will want to go head-to-head. The Coke versus Pepsi rivalry is a classic positioning battle. Both of their advertising campaigns show a clear awareness of each other. Take the way they compete to win the taste battle, for example. Getting a good rank in the market can be really important in dollar terms too. A rule of thumb applies to positioning in many markets. The market leader will have roughly double the business of the second-ranked competitor, who will have roughly double the business of number 3. So gaining a rank on the market ladder is likely to mean a big expansion of business. That's not true for all markets, however. Some markets are fragmented and businesses are not clearly ranked for dominance. Restaurants, for example, don't operate in that kind of market. There's no one restaurant that will automatically dominate an area and be able to shut out the competition. Or suppose you run a backyard pool cleaning business. You might find that you have a lot of small competitors rather than 1 or 2 large competitors. However, regardless of whether you're facing competitors who have an organized hierarchical industry or a fragmented industry where there are many small competitors, you need to identify and market a benefits proposition that is completely distinctive. If you're offering a key benefit that's also offered by others, particularly if it's offered by the market leader, your message will be lost in the marketing noise, as we call it. You may be in a market where all positions seem to be taken. One competitor may be highlighting speed and service, another may be highlighting premium quality, and another may be competing on their budget pricing. So there are no empty niches for you to occupy. In that case, you need to be innovative. That is, invent a new benefit, provide a benefit that is totally unexpected. Take FedEx, for example. When it first offered reliable overnight delivery, its promise was met with some skepticism. No other couriers were offering that degree of speed. When FedEx delivered on its promise, it managed to win a huge market segment because it had staked out a whole new territory. It was way out ahead of the competition. Or think of the risk that Starbucks took in introducing lattes to an American public that was largely unfamiliar with that kind of coffee and charging multiples of the price they were used to paying in the process. Now, that risk paid off. Who would have imagined that so many Americans would one day wake up craving a latte? Very few at the time that Starbucks commenced. As a small business, you may not be innovating to conquer a national market, but the principle is the same. You can conquer a large patch of your local market if you can offer your clients distinctive benefits. If you can find a way to surprise and delight them with a completely unexpected benefit, then you may well be unstoppable. So whether you're developing a new product or exploring a way to repackage an old one, think clearly about the benefits that you provide. How are you meeting the needs of your customers and clients? The way you meet customer needs will depend on the features of your product or your service. You'll want to modify these features from time to time as you develop or repackage your product. Change your product line or find better ways to provide services to your customers. But remember that the features are not important in themselves. Great as a product may be, customers won't love it for its own sake. They'll only love it for the benefits that it provides. So base your marketing on those benefits. Carry out thorough market research to make sure you fully understand what those benefits are from a customer perspective. Ideally, find a unique benefit or set of benefits that will set you apart from your competitors, that will safeguard your place in the market, and if you play your cards right, can provide you with long-term growth. For attending this webinar, we're going to make sure that you have our Shape Your Business Action Plan. Hopefully it'll help you to get your message right. We've nominated some suggested action steps that we believe will really help you to achieve that particular goal. We've included some outcomes, some room for you to nominate a champion of that project, and even some timelines, some deadlines to make sure that the task will be done within a reasonable time frame. I'm really hoping that that is going to help you to achieve what is really a critical part of your business. So thanks for coming, and make sure you look out for next steps.